Jake gets his first comm badge. Odo spins into a dreidel, and Chief was almost a cellist. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
What's up, guys?
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are reviewing Season 2, Episode 16 of Deep Space Nine called Shadowplay, directed by Robert Scheerer. How's it going, Cirroc? All is well?
Yeah, it's going good. You know, one of these days I'm going to try to guess what you're going to say on your opening. I think I might have gotten the comm badge one right. I definitely would have got the dreidel one because I wrote that in my notes. That
no way.
Turned into a dreidel. That's what I thought of too,
That's so cool. Did you draw a picture?
I did draw it's a supplemental picture, but yeah, it's there somewhere. There's my dreidel spinning on the floor. And that's Dax's hairpiece that she was wearing.
Wow, I didn't even notice the hairpiece. Good eye.
Yeah, she had a nice, kind of a bronze, silver-looking. The reason I noticed it is because it actually looked like the wormhole itself. So she was wearing, she was wearing this hairpiece right there, and I don't recall the hairpiece being that visible to me. That like a clamp or a clasp. So when I saw it, I was like, "Oh wow!" So they were wearing hairpieces on the bridge, and it was nice to see the way hers was stylized, with a center kind of bluish gem in the middle, stone in the middle, and then a kind of a silverish, almost bronzish, oval shape around it, kind of looking like the wormhole. So I made note of it. Just a little quick note.
A lot of people in our group, the Seventh Rule Facebook group, have begun trying to guess what the trivioids are going to be at the very beginning that we say here. I think that's been headed by our buddy Dr. Anne-Marie Segal, but she's getting pretty good. She'll make some guesses, and she'll get pretty close sometimes. But those of you at home, feel free to join in the game. Try to guess what the three trivioids are going to be at the beginning of the show. I'll try not to look at them so it doesn't influence. It doesn't make us do it or not do it based on what you guys say. But
no, I really enjoy it because I feel like there are a lot of takeaways from any particular episode. And you do a good job of highlighting things that either go unnoticed or that stick in the back of your mind, or the things that are the things that you would want to talk about. So I thought it was really good.
You make a good point, too. A couple things. One is that there are a million takeaways in every episode. That's what makes it so fun, is that Star Trek is always so rich with details that you could pick out 100 different trivioids and never run out. So that's one great thing about Star Trek. And then the other thing is that, Star Trek nerds, we love trivia. We love little things. We love, do you know how many episodes a Ferengi is in Next Generation? And right now somebody's like 7. I don't know if that's true. Or, or do you know, oh, here's a piece of trivia that was interesting. When we first saw that little girl on the planet, Taya.
Taya, yeah.
Yeah, Taya. I immediately recognized her voice. And Star Trek fans may have also recognized it. I was immediately like, hey, that's the girl that was in an episode of Next Generation. I was sure of it. When you hear her voice, she has a very distinguishable voice. And I remember her going, Isabella, all the time in this Next Generation episode. So I checked her out on IMDb, and she was, in fact, what was it called? Imaginary Friends. She played a character in Imaginary Friends. Where
do you have this actress's name?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. It was like Susan or Sarah. Let me.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is because I actually made note of it myself. The performance that she gave in this episode, I thought was fantastic for somebody of her age. She delivered a really great performance. She held her own in the scene with Renee Odo. And I thought, he's a fantastic actor, and she brought different dynamics to his performance that softened him up and made him seem a lot more human and somebody with feelings. So I thought the two of them and their scenes together were outstanding.
I totally agree with that. Her name is Noli Thornton. Noli Thornton. And yeah, I agree with that. Like, it seemed like, they kind of both benefited from each other. I mean, she probably benefited from him a little bit more, but it was a good dynamic, and she held her own as a young actress. Good for her.
Absolutely.
I think this may have been after her Next Generation episode. I think she was a little bit older and a little bit better. But I also noticed that too. Good actress.
Yeah, she gave a great performance. She gave the camera her full face. Her eyes were really full figured and just like really deep. And she made you like her and care for her. And in that short time that we got to know her, she was a very likable character.
Here's something interesting. I just looked her up on IMDb. It looks like, and I'm not sure if this is the character I'm thinking of, she was in Beverly Hills 90210 for 10 episodes. Her character was Erica McKay. And I'm thinking, wasn't there a point where Dylan McKay had like a little adopted sister or daughter or something like that? That must have been her. So she's a 90210 and Star Trek. Woof. That's big fan base.
Yeah, she's got it. But definitely talented young actress in this particular episode. So I enjoyed their performance. And I enjoyed Renee Auberjonois, Mr. Auberjonois, the late great.
Absolutely.
Just gives us more of his, his character, Odo. And he's so good at being awkward when he needs to be and yet interested and intrigued when he also needs to be. So they gives us a very delicate balance of the rough, grumpy guy who doesn't want to get involved, but also the guy who really wants to know the answers to these questions, right? So I like that.
He also opened himself up to just a tiny bit of vulnerability. Like, he let himself soften up a little bit for that child character.
I think so. And that's what doing scenes with children can do. And that's one of the dynamics that, Aron Eisenberg used to talk about, seeing Jake and his dad together in scenes, because it brought out a different side of Sisko, Commander Sisko, and made him softer. Right. And made him, we get to see his fatherly kind of instincts. And I think the same is true here with this scene with Odo. He really takes a liking to this girl. She wears on his defense mechanisms of this, impenetrable wall of, I don't feel any feelings. And she starts to chip away at it, and in a very innocent way, and I think that's what was so endearing about her is, she even tried to play the trick about turning him into the breadcrumb, which is, he's like, you think I'm going to fall for that?
And then he softened up there. He's like, why? Yeah. So you can eat me?
Exactly.
And we all knew that at the end he was going to change into something. Like, when he was saying goodbye to the little girl, we're like, just change into something, Odo. Come on, just change. And then he starts to walk away. We're like, Odo. Oh, and he goes, okay, I'll spin around and like Brian Boitano over here.
Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was cool, the little spinning thing. I didn't know what he was going to turn into. I was hoping it wouldn't be a breadcrumb, because that'd be really hard for visuals. Where'd he go?
The bird got him. Bye, Odo.
There goes Odo. But no, I thought that was a cleverly written episode. There were so many little things, though, to go over. Of course, Jake was in this episode. We had O'Brien in here. So there's a lot to go over. Kira had a very large B story with Quark and the Vedic. So yeah, I mean, there were a lot of elements they kind of touched on.
Mm-hmm. Also, very quickly before we get too deep into that good stuff, you did mention Aaron, and that brings up a fun thing. Is we're counting the NAMs, the non-appearance mentions, and Nog gets a non-appearance mention in this episode. I don't know, you heard that, right?
Yeah, I did hear it. That was the scene with Jake and his dad when he was asking him to get a job.
That's right. He was like, I want to work with Quark, or I want to work at Quark's with Nog. How great would that have been if Nog is like, he's like, my dad expects you to do this, but don't worry, Uncle Quark won't notice if we steal a little bit off the top or whatever.
We would start our own business inside of his business. That wouldn't end well.
Right. But that would be fun.
It would have been fun, actually. The idea danced in my head when we were seeing that.
Mm-hmm. So kudos to Nog for getting another non-appearance mention. I believe that makes our unofficial total at Jake has 3, Nog has 3, Molly has 2, Keiko with 4, and Rom with 2.
I thought he was at 3 before. That doesn't put him at 4 now.
Nog?
Yeah.
I thought this was.
I think he was at 3 before.
He was at 2 as far as I knew, but
okay, all right. Well, he certainly gets a lot of mentions, and I like those the category of non-appearance mentions, which is
me too.
It's like it's a great thing.
People should get those because, like, you figure, like, you didn't get paid for that day, you didn't get a credit for that day. The least we should do is acknowledge that you were still part of the story. You should get something, right?
Yeah, it's funny. It reminds me of Discovery when we were watching that character, the engineer, or the lady that played the engineer, and she was so good, and then she just disappeared for
Jet Reno?
Jet Reno, yeah. And you would see her in a scene, and you'd be like, "Oh, I love her. She just killed it." And then she wouldn't be around for 2 or 3 episodes,
right? And
there would be no mention of her, right? So you kind of at least, if you're not going to see somebody, you want to hear the non-appearance mention.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps them alive in the story, right?
Absolutely. I think that kind of stuff is great. And then it gives us, it lets us go in our head canon, what the fans call head canon, which is what we believe is canon, that, we're kind of following along what Jake and Nog are doing, even if they're not specifically seen in that episode. If they're mentioned, we know what's going on. Nog is working for Quark, he's talking with Jake. Jake's going, "Oh, maybe I'll go work with you. Let me ask my dad." It's kind of like it gives us more Star Trek lore to work with,
Yeah, and I think it's interesting here at this point because with this particular episode, one of the big things that are relevant about and define both Jake and Nog. Jake is one of the attributes to his character is that he was never in Starfleet and he didn't join Starfleet.
Right.
And so he's known as the guy who took an alternate route. Right. And Nog, on the other hand, is also known as the exact opposite, which is he's the guy that did join Starfleet.
Yeah, when he wasn't supposed to.
When he wasn't supposed to, out
You're
of
right.
tradition
That's a good
and
point.
culture. So here we are. This is the point at which our paths are exactly going to intersect and cross into opposite ways, right?
Yeah, you become the anti-establishment outsider as far as Star Trek is concerned, and he starts to be the outsider that works his way in.
Exactly. And I don't think there's any mention of his interest in Starfleet up to this point. So right now he's just working at Quark's bar. He's
going to school
and also scheming up different ways to make money on the side by trading things or whatever we do.
Or spraying fart spray on aliens.
Getting beat up. Yeah. So right now he's not Starfleet material, nor has he showed the inclination to want to join, right?
Right.
And so I think this is a really interesting crossroads as far as where the arcs of the stories and the characters intersect and start to take on each other's characteristics. So I like that. I like the scene with Sisko and Jake having this conversation because we all, as kids, have had conversations like this with our parents, right? It might be a bad report card or something, a letter that you have to bring home that you don't want to have that conversation with your parents.
I've had those conversations.
Right. And you're like, oh, God, I don't know how to do it. And we all have to have that one moment where we sit down and say things that are difficult, that we think are difficult. Sometimes they turn out to be not difficult at all, as is the case in Jake and his dad. Mm-hmm. But the anxiety, the build up to it is difficult. It's like breaking up with somebody in a relationship. It's like the idea of breaking up with them beforehand causes so much stress that it's actually sometimes more stressful than the actual conversation of the moment that it happens. So
that's a good point. Made me automatically think if we had any major breakups in Star Trek. I can't think of any major ones, you know.
yeah, no, I tell you what, the one breakup that we did see in this episode was Quark and Kira, and how she broke up his dreams.
She broke his heart. First she broke his heart, and then she broke up his plan.
Yeah. So that was a big break. But no, I don't remember any big breaks relationship wise on the show.
I guess Worf and Ezri kind of, you know. I mean, whatever. We don't have to get too deep into that. That's for another episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was I liked it. There was a lot of good stuff. And talking about Kira, you know, she did kind of rip his heart out and then step on it and then shoot a hoop with it, you know.
Well, again, she delivers to me, which is a wonderful, strong performance, and one of the archetype characters for a strong female on television. I think one of the best we've ever seen in some cases, amongst the best. There's the opening scene in which she interacts with Quark, and she comes directly to him and says, you know, I'm not letting you get away with everything, essentially, right? And he says, you don't like me? Something to that effect.
She's like, she seemed disgusted by the question.
Oh, God. And her answer was just so tough and right on point. I think I'm going to paraphrase, but it was, don't like you. You collaborated with the Kardashians. You cheat your customers. I don't just not like you. I despise you.
Right. That was the exact quote. Yeah.
And I love the way she just slapped him in the face with that. I think she's one of the best at just shutting things down, right? She shuts things down like, no, if you don't get your hand off my leg, it's going to be a problem. That'll be the last time you touch something. Just like the real shutdown lines. And as far as a fierce, strong female character, she is it.
Yeah, and you know, Quark is the kind of guy that would be like, "Ooh, what a woman!" when she walks away. You know? And like, same thing with Zach. You'd be like, "I really like her." Friend Nick.
Yeah, but yes, that is true. You can never go too low for Ferengi.
They love it.
They never get the message. They think it's the opposite of what you're trying to convey. But yeah, then we also got the Jake O'Brien kind of like, you know.
Right. This was one of those episodes, kind of like what we got, was it last week, where people kind of paired off. So we got to just kind of focus on relationships, on how, you know, duos would work together. There was Jadzia and Odo, and then we also got Jake and Ben, you know, his dad, and then we also got Jake and Chief, which was a good one. We also had Kira and Bareil and Kira and Quark. It was a lot of really good stuff. But what were you saying about Jake and Chief? That was a good mix right there.
Yeah, it was a good mix, and you got to see the apprenticeship of Jake with O'Brien. There was a time when he said, "I'm talking to Mr. Sisko." I think he referred to me as Mr. Sisko, and my dad says, "Mr. Sisko." All right, and that's when he hands me the comm badge. I like that scene. You know, it was such a friendly reminder of the times that we had together. It also reminded me of that particular outfit, which I think this is the first time I'm showcasing in this episode.
I noticed the outfit too. I was like, wow, that is the most loose-fitting outfit they've hooked you up with so far. You must have been like, wow, this is great. I can breathe. I can move around a little bit for a minute.
Yeah, actually, I wrote that down. I was like, wow, finally, one of my favorite outfits that started to break the mold of, you know, starting to evolve and change instead of just the one thing. But yeah, I wrote that down, the tan and brown zip up.
Mm-hmm. And your first comm badge.
And my first comm badge. So, you know, it was, it reminds me of, you know, these photos that we always have when we go to the conventions and you see old pictures of yourself.
Yeah.
But to see it come out of the episode directly is one thing separate than seeing it as a still image. So it's a really honor to be able to have that captured. I wanted to bring up some other things too. You know, you have a picture in the background of the race of people that we encountered. I guess they're humans.
The
right?
human chefs with the just human guys with robes and chef hats.
Yeah, I wrote that
out
down.
in the Gamma Quadrant.
Yeah, I wrote that down because at first I was like, what is that from? I was trying to think. It reminded me of so many different things, but the Ethiopian priests in the highlands, in the mountains, most of them wear outfits exactly like that with the necklaces and everything. So I thought of the priests.
Interesting. I'm sure everybody was thinking of Ethiopian priests in the highlands.
Oh, everybody.
So obvious.
But it made me think of it,
Interesting. And, that's a good point.
The robed guys, the hat is similar, almost exactly. The beads, usually the beaded necklaces are rosaries. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was a nice little throwback for me. And what do you think about this episode? Like the overall of it?
I thought that it was not one of their better ones. I thought, like with all of Star Trek, if the story isn't super exciting or stupendous, you can still entertain yourself by noticing the little things that they put in there, whether it's, the relationship between two interesting characters, or whether it's cool quotes or notable things like rules of acquisition, or it, like, for example, in this episode, another mention of the Dominion. We got another mention of the Dominion. He said, I was very happy on whatever Prime, on Yadura Prime. I was
right.
On Yadura Prime until the Dominion took over. And so there's another mention, like third or fourth mention of this Dominion that are there. We know they're the big players. We know they take stuff over. We know that nobody can stop them and people get totally wiped out. So that, they're really planting these seeds. So even in this episode, which has nothing to do with the bigger scale of things, we still get one tiny little nugget in there. They keep planting those seeds,
Yeah, and the other nuggets that I liked out of this episode was the backstory both on Odo and O'Brien. They both kind of went into their childhood. So Odo talks about, when the kids teased him and asked him to shapeshift, and they didn't really.
Right.
And he gives a whole backstory. We get to see like a little bit of what it was like for him growing up as a shapeshifter, right?
Right. And he's a tiny bit insecure about shapeshifting. He doesn't want to do it because he feels like a pet or a circus animal, or like, like a monkey, do this, do that. Yeah.
Exactly. And then O'Brien goes into his story about his childhood and his dad wanting him to be a musician. And so, so even if we don't really get the greatest story of all time, we still get the backstory. We still get these little nuggets to help, fill out the frame for me as far as, getting a better understanding of what Gillian character was.
Exactly. And that's what Star Trek does so well is, not every episode can be a world beater. Not every episode can be, destroying the Dominion or you got to have like lower episodes that kind of fill in the edges. But even in those episodes, they give us these little gold nuggets of interesting facts or backstory or information that'll be useful a little later, a little foreshadowing. Tell you what, we've got to take our break real quick. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that, and I'll throw out the factoids that didn't make the cutting room floor. And one thing that was kind of weird to me too, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We'll be right back with the seventh rule. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the seventh rule with Cirroc Lofton. My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we are doing a review of episode 16 of Deep Space Nine's second season called Shadowplay, directed by Robert Shearer. Real quick, the factoids that didn't make the cutting room floor. None of them are that great. We now know why Sealy has seemed distracted at work lately. That was when Dax was gossiping to Odo, and he goes, now I know why Sealy seems so distracted at work lately.
Yeah.
There was also, in that same scene, Odo has never had a female friend. And then he says, well, I consider Kira to be a friend. And she's like, that's not what I meant. And Taya isn't scared of Odo. We all kind of figure out why. They just become buddies. Bareil follows Spring Ball. I guess that's a
Spring Ball,
a Bajoran sport that is interesting. And Bareil was invited to distract Kira, which ends up being kind of like the little twist of that plot.
Yeah, that's funny because that scene where Odo is listening to Dax as she's going on about this gossip. It reminded me of the scene where Odo's in the elevator with Major Roddenberry's character, and she's
Right.
she's talking his ear off, and he's like, "Oh God, I can't. I don't want to." So
I thought
Odo
about
does
that
not
too.
like listening to anybody go on about anything unless it's like matter of fact. Give me the briefing. I don't want to hear all of this stuff. What does it mean? What does it lead? I don't care.
Kind of like a couple episodes ago where he had to do the chief security officer's log. He says, well, I guess I have to do this log. So first log is everything seems to be in order.
Yeah, exactly.
All under control.
Exactly. But there's also this thing, it's funny because when I was watching the episode, one of the things that I was thinking about was I thought this was almost an exact replay of the episode before because, we watched in the episode, and I don't know if it was the one directly before or 2 episodes ago, but
Whispers.
they were, it was the one where they were all on the planet and they weren't letting everybody leave because the woman wanted to do it her way, and she was like,
right.
She crash landed that community, and they were
Very
being
similar,
lied.
You're right.
They were being lied to about it, and I felt like the same thing was going on here in this episode. It was one person controlling the community, lying to them about it, and it was similar in that kind of way, right?
Point. Very, very similar, yeah.
Using different control mechanisms or fear to control people, like don't go out that far, don't use technology. The other theme that I thought was common was the dependence on technology to fix things. So in that episode that I'm talking about, people were sick and they needed the technology to heal them, otherwise they died. And without it, they died. And here it was the technology to fix the nuclear core that was causing the invisibility. So again, so I felt here again, we were promoting the idea of reliance on technology.
And also the theme of there's one person that kind of, started or created this this community and it's lying to them, like you said, and then two Starfleet people show up, and what do? There has to be a crisis. People are getting sick. Well, let's help you fix that. Or people are disappearing. Okay, well, let's help you fix that, and that kind of unravels the truth.
Right. So I felt a very close proximity of similarity between those 2 episodes. I know they put the twist on it during the end in the second half, but in the beginning, it almost started off exactly the same, right? Being suspicious of things in the same way.
Which episode do you think hit the point better out of the 2?
The one before this one, because they use the imagery of Avery going into the cage.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It hit the point harder because of that, right?
Yeah, that sticks with me, and it's such a an emotional thing that it evokes out of you when you see something like that. It attaches directly to a certain part of your memory and makes you really angry.
It's powerful. This one was a little bit more cute, and the previous one was a little bit more powerful. There's kind of 2 different feelings in them.
Yeah, well, I felt what made this special was this girl's performance that we were talking about. I think that the fact that she had such of an exuberance for humanity, she felt as real or more real than anybody else in the episode, right? Mm-hmm. And so to find out later that she is a hologram or a offspring of 2 holograms, I thought it brought home another point of we talk about in this new Picard show what do they call it? Synthetic life.
Yeah, synthetics.
Right. So this is a variation of a synthetic life, right? A
Right.
hologram. Right. So still they deal in the emotional state of what does a synthetic life form, a hologram or a synthetic android like Data, what do they feel? And that question is always something that is interesting for us as viewers and as thinkers to kind of contemplate how machines feel. I mean, they brought that up in 2001 Space Odyssey with the computer HAL, and HAL started to have feelings and thinking of motives and things like that. So I thought it was interesting the way they brought in that concept as well.
I also saw a lot of stereotypical Star Trek tropes, things that as fans we laugh about because we see them over and over and over again in Star Trek. One of which is that there's an alien that looks just like humans, but they're wearing robes. Okay, so that makes them an alien, is they're wearing robes and beads and a chef's hat. Now they're an alien, even though they're in a completely different quadrant of the galaxy. This is the Gamma Quadrant, and they look just like humans. Okay, fine. Same mannerisms and everything. Okay, whatever. But then you also have the trope of everybody's just always happens to be hanging out outside. They always walk into like a village square, this little village square that's like the size of a living room, and everybody's just kind of walking around and talking with each other there. Somebody's watering a plant in the corner. 3 kids are playing with a hacky sack in another corner. Like everybody's just hanging out in this tiny little village square, and they talk. It's always the sun shining. It's a beautiful day. They got a computer outside. Their main computer is right outside. Never rains, I guess. They're right outside. Another trope is, hey, 2 aliens have just landed on the planet that you've never seen before, probably don't even know aliens exist. And they're like, oh, cool, aliens. Yeah, go walk around, have fun. Oh, you guys, you 2 aliens want to go hang out with my 8-year-old daughter alone? No problem. Yeah, you guys go right ahead. Go out venturing out the valley with her. No problem. Just be back for supper. These are all the things where you just kind of like don't think too much about it. Like they're just like, just let it go. Just go with us on this.
Yeah, like Odo disappears and then reappears. You're like, oh, okay, so that all right, so then I should trust you.
Seems like a good guy.
He's a security officer. Like, all right. But yeah, I thought those are some interesting tropes. Yeah, I mean, there's always a bunch of those, and the guy who's always invited to the Earth, to the alien planet surface, who's not a regular cast member, who always gets killed, is another one of those kind of tropes that they always give us one of those. But I think something was believing about reality. I think the question of perception and reality, what is real and what is not real, is one of the things that was brought up. That's a dog, sorry.
That's okay. We love dogs.
But that's one of the things that's brought up. I think the line is the old man who ended up being the only real person out of this alien colony says when they all disappear and he's just left there with Dax and Odo, he says it's all an illusion. It's all an illusion. None of it's real. And I thought it was weird that Odo had to convince that guy that that this thing was important and that you should keep it going. I thought that guy who's probably been doing it for 30 years, he would have been devastated not to have that reality as part of a function of his life.
I got tired of that.
Take me over to Quark's bar.
I'm moving on anyway. He's like, plus, they don't even have my favorite games there. Odo's like, you could just create that, right? Oh, yeah. I guess I could have made it more interesting.
Yeah. So I thought it was a little bit cavalier the way he was willing to let go of this thing that he was attached to for 30 years.
Sure.
But the interesting thing that I thought was as a line, and I try to pick up on the dialogue and see what words they're using because they really matter in the storytelling. But Odo says, "Why should it matter if a hologram cries?" Mm-hmm. And he delivers that line towards the end. He asks, "Why should it matter if a hologram cries? And he poses that question to the guy. And the guy comes up with the answer, which Odo knows is the answer as well. It was kind of a redundant question. He was just saying it, but it was because I love her, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the answer that the guy gave. Is why should it matter if a hologram cries? Because I love her. And for me, the key is that we're talking about love. Mm-hmm. And it was the same love that Odo started to show us about his own love for this girl that he wanted her back to, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. And then it kind of makes you think like, well, I mean, if he has known these people for 30 years, he's known that little girl for 10 years, of course he's attached to her. That's literally all he has in his life for the last 30 years are these holographic people. You know, he must feel something for them. It's like his entire world. It's his whole existence.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I thought that was interesting that they brought in this power of love. And
hey, Huey Lewis. Are we talking about Huey Lewis?
The power of love.
There we go.
And to tie that into the Sisko-Jake dynamic, right on the heels of him saying that he loved her, here comes Jake and Sisko having this difficult conversation in which I think Jake really harshly said, Starfleet is too much like you. That was kind of a harsh line for me when I heard it. You know,
yeah, but he made sense out of it because the very next line was, I need to find what's me, he says, you know.
Yes.
And that makes the good point is he's not saying that it's bad that it's like his dad. What he's saying is it's not necessarily for him just because it's for his dad. He needs to find out what works for him. It might be Starfleet. It might be, I don't know, writing. It could be anything. But
it might be writing.
Just throwing something out there.
No, but then Sisko goes on to say, find something you love, then do it the best you can. And here we go. I'm just bringing
Jake's
back
like, you mean like a Dabo girl?
I'll bring her by tomorrow, Dad. So no, I thought they tied back. Here comes the love again. So they closed with the love on that scene. They closed with love on Sisko telling his son, and they tied in that as well. But then he goes on to say, then you'll make the old man proud. And it's funny because all of us as kids trying to make people proud. You know, you want to make your parents proud. You want to make your coach proud. You want to make people proud, your coworkers or your teammates, or, you know, we do things to try to please the people that we love. But I think that's also great advice that Avery or that Sisko gives, because Avery in real life tells me the same thing, which is, you know, find something you love and do it the best you can. So I've heard that many times from him. Yeah,
I like it. Now there was also one thing, one scene that was a little peculiar to me. It was when I see it right now. By the way, Clara Sutter is the character that actress played in Deep Space Nine. Clara Sutter, the one that kept going, Isabella. That's what she just kept saying. People that have seen the episode know what I'm talking about. It feels like she said it like a dozen times. But there was one scene, and it was between Kira and Bareil, and they start kissing, and they have this kiss conversation, this kind of kiss-versation that went on about 5 lines too long. Like, it makes sense because we get that they wanted it to, like, they make out and they're just kind of like talking a little bit, and then she gets it, she pieces it together, what's going on. But I wish they would have gotten through it faster, because otherwise they just had this long, awkward kiss talk, like, yeah, and then I went over here, yeah, and then what happened? Well, you know, Quark is a guy that I don't, oh yeah, and we're just like, can we get past all this? I felt like there was some voyeurism going. We're just watching some people having their moments.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I noticed it, but I didn't write it down and I didn't make note of it. But I noticed it, and when you bring it up now, yeah, it was about 5 sentences too
It
long.
was long.
And I actually wrote in my notes, Kira, kiss, 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 quark, quark. It's like who goes from who goes from kissing, 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 making out, and then he started talking about quark? Like that's
Who
like
doesn't, right?
who like who brings that up? But so yeah, I thought it was awkward. It was like, come on, man. What kind of full disclosure is this at this exact moment? It doesn't need to be here at the kiss moment. It should have probably been done before or slightly after when they're disrobing. But so yeah, it was a little bit inappropriate.
it was just long, and I what it was I kind of felt bad for the actors because I'm like, that it was like a long awkward scene for them to get through because they're trying to just stay in character. They're trying to like half make out, but they're not even like really fully getting into acting as if they're doing a full make out, but they're also trying to talk and they're trying to deliver these lines, and I just feel like it should have been half as many lines, like 2 or 3 lines I think is the right amount to do that, but it was like 8 or 10 or something. It was like a full scene.
Yeah, and I don't know, even the fact that they hooked up was a little unnatural to me because they seemed to not like each other so much in the beginning. He was coming on to her and she was like not interested in the beginning until he mentioned that the game basketball.
Basketball, good knowledge, man. Basketball, shout out to basketball.
Yeah, shout out. But no, I felt like, okay, that's the last thing that's ever really, after you've gone through this many butting of heads, it's kind of like a dead deal already. You wouldn't just happen to bring it up and say, hey, you like the 49ers? I do too. Right, let's hook up then. After you've been shooting the person down.
We can't talk about the 49ers right now.
Oh, yeah, I shouldn't have brought that up. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, just for the record, Ryan's being a real trooper, man. I know you don't want to get into too much of your personal stuff, but
yeah,
being a real trooper, man. So thanks for holding tight, and those of you out there, he was involved in a collision, I may say, and you did suffer some major injuries, so we can use your prayers.
I suffered some major injuries, but my mouth and face are intact. So
thank God for that.
Bad luck for you guys, but good luck for me. I'm still hanging in there. I got a lot of meds and stuff. So if I say something that doesn't make any sense, I can blame it on that. But yeah, thanks for the shout out. I've also been quite the trooper because the 49ers lost. And that's also a cool thing as well.
Yeah, so we appreciate you hanging tough for us and showing up to game day and being big about it. So for those of you out there listening, you can always use the extra prayers for Ryan that he gets well fast.
Thanks very much. So and I appreciate that, and it is a lot of pain, but a lot of people have reached out and said some very nice things, and that helps a lot. So we've got about 9 minutes left. I do want to get back into, we didn't get any rules of acquisition, sadly. I'm always keeping my ears open for that. I did notice a first mention of Omicron particles. I feel like that was the first time we've heard Omicron particles. It did remind me, I thought it reminded me of something from Transformers, but maybe not. Any Transformers fans out there, let me know if they mention Omicron. I know those Energon cubes and those Omega 1. Anyway, I feel like Omicron was a Transformers thing.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting they brought that out, the Omicron particles. Nothing comes from just thin air. They always have like a base in some real science. So I'm sure there's a truth to it behind there.
Oh, we also had something that I thought was cool. we had a Bolian sighting. Bolians are one of my favorite aliens.
He always pointed out the Bolian sightings. He loved Bolians.
No, that was I think it was the Pakleds before, but Bolians, I may have pointed out the Bolians before too. You're right, because they are my favorite. They're the blue guys. They're blue. Yeah. They usually have no hair, and they have like a line that bisects their head. They're just these cool aliens. It didn't have any lines. It was just sitting in Quark's bar. Quark's bar is like a great place to just put random aliens in there. And it's great for the nerds to like start picking out cool aliens here and there, you know?
Yeah, that's where the action is, Quark's bar.
Right.
But, you know, I remember the Bolians, actually personally remember them back in the day, because there would always be some Bolians around. And of course and of course a guy who's, you know, electric blue is going to be remembered and sticks out in your mind. One of the you know, more memorable aliens. The other one was, of course, Morn, who happened to be there a lot too.
Sure, played by Mark Allen Shepard.
Right. I don't know what alien is, but
yeah, they did mention that it is known what kind of alien Morn is. I can't think of what it is right now. And right now we got some nerds screaming what it is. It's a, you idiot. And we did see that same alien in the previews for Discovery Season 3. There's a preview for Season 3, and there's a bunch of, you know, there's like a Tellarite, an Andorian, maybe a human, and there's a whatever Morn is, you know, and they look like these freedom fighters, and they're shooting something. So that's gonna happen in Season 3 of Discovery. But yeah, I don't remember what kind of alien he is.
Oh, so they bring back the Morn alien then,
right?
You will see it somewhere else. Interesting. Yeah. That's pretty interesting. The other thing, oh no, they ended on the line.
One second. Morn is a Lurian. He is a Lurian. That's the alien that he is. Anyway, go on.
And he's got that little wiry curly hair, just like it comes very sparsely.
What do those hairs remind you of, Cirroc?
Can't think of anything that off the top of my head at all. Nothing. I can think of absolutely nothing.
Me neither.
Got me right there. No, I was thinking. You mentioned a movie that it reminded you of. I think you were just talking about the Omicron Particles and it reminding you from another movie.
Yeah, it reminds me of maybe Transformers or something. I don't remember what.
Yeah, it's funny because I was reminded of a movie watching this, and that was the movie Short Circuit. I don't know if you remember Short
Number
Circuit.
5 is Alive, that one?
Number 5 is Alive.
Nice.
Yeah, another movie that's brought up this idea about, you know, artificial life, believing that it itself is real.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, number 5 is Alive.
Wow. Who is the guy in that? Was it like John Cusack or something like that?
No, it's not. It's not John Cusack, but I can't think of the guy's name. But he can't think of the guy's name. No,
that's okay.
But I always get little reminders of movies, and I write them down if I think of a movie that,
right,
you know, that an episode brings up in my head. But this one was Short Circuit.
Steve Guttenberg. That's who it was.
Steve Guttenberg.
And Ali Sheedy. Ali Sheedy was from The Breakfast Club. She was the girl that was like shaking flakes out of her hair or whatever. She was the weirdo in The Breakfast Club.
Yeah. With Molly Ringwald.
That's right. So we've only got 3 minutes left here. Do you have any final thoughts on the episode?
You know, it wasn't my favorite episode. I think we should give a little bit of a shout out to the actor that runs up on them. I've seen him in so many different things. He's the one that runs up on Odo and Dax. with his phaser out. I don't know if he's done other Star Trek episodes, but I've seen him and his face so many times. So this is just giving shout outs to people that, we worked with. And it was fun to work with these people.
Interesting. Do you remember the scene with Colomini at all? I know it's usually they're kind of a blur, but sometimes they might be different if you work with different actors. Do you remember it?
I don't remember that particular scene. I do remember a scene where I was stuck inside of the tunneling system, and we worked together on that day. And I remember having so many jokes with him on that day. He's, asking props to throw spiders inside the tunnel. So when I got in there, I'd see a bunch of spiders. But so I've had a lot of fun with Colin. He's a great joy to be around as a person.
He's a prankster, huh?
He's a bit of a prankster. He's a jokester. But he also knocks out the work as quickly, as he's laughing on one side, giggling, and then as soon as they roll camera, he's right there, just not missing a beat. So he's a true professional.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the evidence that he's a true professional is that they sure didn't have to bring him on Deep Space Nine. He was a semi-regular on Next Generation, and if he was anything but professional, they would have just had somebody else be the chief engineer or whatever, or chief specialist on Deep Space Nine. So the fact that he came to work every day prepared and was super professional shows, because they then hired him to become a regular on Deep Space Nine for 7 years.
Absolutely. And he was also off doing movies as many times as I can remember.
Like
more
Con
so,
Air.
I think, than any. Yeah, like Con Air. So he was doing movies, as much as or more than anybody else on the show. So he definitely was a busy actor.
Okay. Well, before we go to the free-for-all, I do want to say very quickly a very special thank you to our associate producers, Immo Radtke, Rex A. Wood, Dennis Koch, Homer Frizzell, Eve England, Kat R. King, and Yvette Blackmon. Thank you all very much for helping to make this show a reality. And stay tuned for the free-for-all. We'll be right back on the seventh rule. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the free-for-all with Kat R. King, Heather Jordan, Rex A. Wood, Homer Frizzell. As usual, Cirroc Lofton and Ryan T. Husk are here. Cirroc Lofton has a fun question for the free-for-all.
Yeah, well, it just came up because I was watching it, and the theme song, the opening credits for the new Picard show, starts off with this sound, and I believe that it reminded me of the X-Files, and I wanted to know if anybody else picked up on that. Speaking of, there it is.
Is that
it? Right on cue.
Wow.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Heather, was that
I
your
never knew
phone?
the X-Files.
Did anybody watch the X-Files?
Oh, yeah.
I was obsessed.
Nope.
Yeah, obsessed with X-Files when I was like, I don't know, like middle school, so like 12 or something when it was out, I guess. Like, I literally wanted to be an FBI agent. Like, I had like fan mail and cards and like little badges. I still have it. I have a signed, like I wrote into the show and they sent me like I was huge fan. Just
wow.
Me too.
Agent Scully.
Yes.
I know.
She wrote into the show.
Gillian
and
Anderson.
Got a piece of Sisko.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gillian Anderson was a huge.
Is it Gillian? I always forget.
Yeah, Gillian Anderson.
I wrote I was 10 years old. That's 5th grade. I wrote my career report on becoming special agent with the FBI.
Oh gosh.
I had a whole interview ready to tell them all about how when I went to interview for the FBI, when they asked me, well, what brings you in? And I said to them, I was going to say to them, well, Dana Scully, X-Files. I'm sure they would have thrown my
Denied.
But it's so real.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, like that was my career path for like
Me too.
years and years, was becoming an FBI agent. Like I it's still on the table. You have to you're 38 or something to join.
That bachelor's degree, girl. Get that
I
degree.
know, it's still on the table. I could go. Got like another year left.
Pull-ups.
Join the FBI.
I gotta get the pull-ups.
I see that Homer's drinking his root beer out of a wine glass. How do you feel about
Yeah, it's the
X-Files?
Chateau Picard glass,
Ooh, very
Oh, wow, it is.
Oh.
but it is not the Chateau Picard.
Oh, well.
That kicked.
He doesn't want people to think he drinks on camera.
What is that? Are you wearing a comm badge right now, Homer?
Yeah. I think this is the Picard crest.
Yeah, it is. Good job.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
He's got the Picard crest, and he's got the coolest scene from today's episode with O'Brien and Jake with his comm badge.
That's right.
Absolutely.
This is Jake Sisko, the apprentice.
Absolutely.
Is that a one?
He did not get fired. He resigned.
Right.
It's funny because O'Brien is surprisingly patient with me for being the most impatient guy in the show.
It's like, okay, no, it's all right. It takes a little while. I mean, the first time when I did it took a year before I figured this out.
Yeah, he's very patient with me. I thought that was like a nice little delicate touch because he's usually like, all right, get it, let me do this, move over, I'll show you.
Ah, damn it, Keiko.
Jesus.
Where are my socks?
Jesus.
Yeah.
What about you, Mr. Rex? How do you feel about O'Brien and the X-Files?
O'Brien and the X-Files? Well, yeah.
It sounds like a band.
I think that in this episode, you're absolutely right. O'Brien was pretty patient with Jake through this because he did not have the patience that to be doing that. It was kind of outside of his realm of his personality.
Yeah.
Right.
X-Files, yeah, I watched the X-Files. I wasn't into it as much as Heather was, but I watched it. It wasn't on my top 10 list. I can say that probably.
So here's a good follow-up question. Speaking of X-Files, now you know how the X-Files was kind of about like these alien conspiracy theories and all of that kind of stuff. Which character in Star Trek do you think has that kind of personality? Like the kind of character that has that conspiracy theory, solving the mysteries kind of character. What do you think? I don't know, Heather.
Oh man. You know what? This might be off the wall, but I feel like Bashir would totally be an X-Files fan, like in Star Trek. Like I feel like he would be all about the alien life form and the people being abducted. Like I could vision an episode of Deep Space Nine where Bashir is like saying people are being abducted by aliens. Like I could totally see
by
that.
Aliens. They're surrounded by aliens. Do you think that's why he's talking to Garrick all the time? He's like trying to get information out of him. Yeah.
Oh, Garrick is good too. I don't know.
Garrick it would be the one.
You say it's Garrick.
He is the guy. Garrick is the guy.
He's just a simple tailor.
He's a walking conspiracy theory. He calls them to himself.
And they talk together, Bashir and Garrett, so it fits right there. Yeah.
Which one is Mulder and which one is Scully?
Oh God.
Who's more skeptical? Skeptic.
I don't know. I guess Bashir would have to be Scully, I would think.
Yeah, well, he's got he's the doctor. She becomes the doctor later on.
And then, I don't know. I just feel like Garrett definitely has that suave Mulder going on just a little bit, Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's them. That's the Dana and Scully. Or I'm sorry. Scully and
Mulder.
Mulder. I said her name twice. Scully and Mulder of Deep Space Nine, right there.
Gummy and Moldy.
Actually, I think it would be Kira and Odo. I think Kira would be the Mulder
Yeah.
where she would be like looking for the conspiracy, and I think Odo would be like, I don't believe in that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, agreed.
There's a perfectly good explanation for why
Yeah.
Everything's under control.
that.
Exactly. Kira and Odo, what about you, Rex? What do you think?
I'm going to put Data in there. I think Data would be that type of looking at different things like that.
Right?
You know, conspiracy theories, what's going on, trying to find that. I think Data would definitely be that
Okay,
character.
so who's
I
his
didn't know we
Scully
were
though?
outside the DS9 realm. Okay.
That's a hard one. The Scully one would have to be.
We just go with Dr. Beverly. Make her the Scully.
Probably. I mean,
Janeway's a real science grounded
Yeah.
person. She'd have a hard time believing.
yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna do some cross shows there, we could do Janeway and Data.
Yeah. Data Beverly. Yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
Jake
Data
and Nog.
Beverly.
Blaze and Bev. Did you see her unicycle?
Yes.
That was
There
good.
was an image going around, with her on a unicycle outside the Paramount lot. It's pretty funny.
Like younger her or like older her? Like
Her
shorter?
as Crusher back in the day.
In her uniform, her costume on a unicycle on the
She
back.
knows. Wow, that's not an easy thing to do, to ride a unicycle.
She was a choreographer, wasn't she? I mean, she's a
Yeah.
acrobat, basically.
Yeah, she has a dance background.
Yeah, I saw her in her leotard.
Yeah, she's terrific. She's great.
And that stretchy scene.
Wait, did we decide who's going to go as who, Heather? Who's going to be which one for cosplay for Vegas?
I don't know. I feel like I have to be Beverly.
You have to because you're
Beverly.
naturally red.
Yeah, I just feel like I have to be Beverly.
Cool.
You might need to get a little bit of a wig, though. Like, you might need to, get a little bit longer and darker.
Going to love it, Heather. We're going to get attention.
I know. I'm really trying to see if I can figure it out. Like, it's just.
I gotta get ripped, man. I'm just getting in shape. I cannot embarrass myself. They look so good compared to how I feel.
Let me put it out that I'm taking applications if anybody wants to host me for, Star Trek Las Vegas.
Yes.
If they want to,
Applications.
Now accepting applications.
Homer, your
They want
thoughts?
to sponsor me. Sponsor me to STLV.
I think it'll be great to see that cosplay.
Yes. Heather, you can just room with us.
And how do you feel about which
Ray's gonna
character
be
would
okay
fit
with
in
that.
with the X-Files?
Yeah.
So I can't quite answer that question because I've maybe seen half of an episode of the X-Files. But I can say that the person that would be most caught up in it and interested in doing it is Bashir, person that I think that would be and Odo is there too, as like from the Shadowplay episode as well. Like he's like, oh, you got a mystery? Let's investigate that. Bam. But I think the person that would be the best at it is the one that's the simple tailor, and he would do it and not tell anyone about it. Whereas Bashir is all, I'm going to do this. I'm going to apply these techniques. And like, okay, that's not very spy-like.
Right. That's true.
I could see Bashir and Odo as some sort of like investigative team. I could see that. Odo would be annoyed all the time.
I'm going to go off the wall and say Travis Mayweather. I think that he's a guy that, like, he does his stuff on Enterprise. He's flying the ship and doing his thing. And then he goes back into his room and goes, all right, time to crack some codes here. That's his hobby. He's like that kind of guy that they didn't really explore him very much in Enterprise. So I feel like he's kind of an open book.
No, it's got to be. Oh God, they call him Broccoli. What is this real name?
Yeah, Barkley. He was the other guy.
Barkley's got to be.
Reg.
Yeah.
Who's this Broccoli guy?
Mr. Broccoli.
Remember there's that one episode?
I love Reg. I love Reg. I'm a huge Reg fan.
Don't you remember that one episode where they call it Broccoli, and then
18.
like Picard actually accidentally says, "Hey, Broccoli," and he's like, "Okay."
Mr. Broccoli. I'm sorry.
He's like,
And
But,
as Homer
Starfleet?
mentioned, he's on the A team. Dwight Schultz
Yes.
was also on the A team. He played.
Yes.
He played. What was his name? Murdoch, right?
Yes.
Yes.
No,
Brilliant.
is that right? Yes,
Yeah.
because the other one was
Murdoch.
Hannibal.
I don't know.
Right. Murdoch
Yeah.
is correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
That
so
show I've
did-
seen a couple times.
Yeah,
Starfleet?
no,
The A team, yeah.
I actually probably saw the A team more than I saw, some other things.
I've watched it
And
a
then
couple
X-Files.
times.
I'd say A team I saw more than the X-Files.
Me too.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Yes,
Yeah.
Hannibal, ladies and gentlemen.
There
No,
it
I
is.
pity them.
You know, I used to work out with Mr. T. He used to
Nope.
go to my
Really?
gym
Know
at
that.
24-hour fitness in at the Galleria in Sherman Oaks. Maybe he still does. I don't go to that gym anymore. But he was the nicest mother ever. Like he would just be like, "Oh, I'm so glad to meet new people, and oh man, I'm just having fun and going to the gym and meeting people, and are you going to use that?" And like he was the most friendly and like high energy guy. It was just so cool to meet the guy, and he was so friendly and happy to see everybody. Really cool guy. Shout out to Mr. T, whose name I don't know his real name, but Mr. T.
But does he work out blinged out, or did he take all that out?
No, he didn't have the bling.
He said, close the door, fool. Close the door, fool. You letting all the steam out.
You do a
Sound
good
like
one.
Chuck Negron, like a Three Dog Night song. Like, someone open up this window. Let me Robert.
You wait, fool. Get them out the way.
Getting a lot of
Penny
good
that fool
impressions
over there
here
on the
today.
I like it.
Fool.
Stop them. Wait. Oh, actually, wait.
You guys have any quotes from him in Rocky? I don't remember any of his quotes in Rocky.
No.
No, I don't remember.
You
him
don't,
as a
Heather?
teen.
Oh, I
Wait, was he a trainer?
Shut up,
Rocky?
fool. Shut up, fool.
Shut up, fool.
Gotta be oh wait, that's Samuel L. Jackson.
He was at the gym in Rocky, wasn't he? Like the training with him. I can't. It's been so long since I've seen Rocky.
I don't know, but
years ago.
Mr. T made a great investment with all that gold. I think he bought it at a very low price, and by the time and it just kept going up. So it wasn't a really bad thing to buy a whole bunch of necklaces. I mean, I've heard of people losing their money in other ways. That's not really the worst thing to do. Worth 10 tons of gold.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very good investment.
What about, okay, so Ryan, your first question, but going back to Cirroc's initial question, whether or not the Files song or themes seems to
there's a slight variance.
I catch Wally, the Wally music, some of the
Really?
Wally.
In the Disney movie?
Transitional music when you see like the big wide shots of them traveling through space. The dun, 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 I could see that.
Okay.
But
Well, you know,
above and beyond that is the music from the Inner Light, the flute music.
correct. It's the piccolo, I believe.
Yeah,
but
it is. That is exactly what it is. Inner Light.
That's right.
Or I heard that it was that the Picard theme song is a slowed down version of something he plays in.
It was the character. It was actual Patrick Stewart's actual son playing Captain Picard's character's son in the Inner Light, who was playing the piccolo off stage. We hear this tune, and if you listen to that episode, he's playing that tune that the theme song for Picard is derived from. Really interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
really cool. And it's actually his son, Daniel Stewart, I believe is his name, Patrick Stewart's son, that plays that character. So that's a really cool little homage there. And Homer's got some information for us. Go ahead and hit us with it, Homer.
Mr. Chi, Laurence Toureau.
That's an extremely French name. Laurence Toureau.
Well, he was French.
Well,
maybe
definitely a
Creole.
French name.
Maybe Creole or
there.
something.
I don't know.
Yeah. From Louisiana.
So, Ryan, I appreciate the guy that's over your right shoulder, just over that sort of those claws that are in the back of that girl's hair, is the actor Kenneth Mars.
Cirroc was mentioned that he's seen him in stuff before. What's he been in?
Yeah. So my favorite is him as he was in Young Frankenstein as Inspector Kemp. He was the guy with the wooden arm, and you have
yeah.
that scene. You know, there's the dart scene, and he has the wooden arm. He's like taking the darts and goes, "What's my?" And then he does this.
Yes.
And then there was nice grouping.
Yeah.
I like that
the
film.
whole arm thing where he had to
Yeah.
get his arm to make it move.
Just smack it, you know, to get it around. I love that. Those
Wow, good knowledge, guys.
I'm Frankenstein.
I
I
never
knew
saw
I'd
it.
seen
Yeah.
that, guys. I haven't seen it either, but I've seen the actor
Great
before.
movie.
And he did some voice work with Renee. I haven't seen this so much, but it's a Disney animated.
Right.
film.
Hit us with that one. That was really good. You mentioned that. Hit us with that.
Yeah.
Good
he
trivia.
played, I think it's pronounced the king. So Triton, is that right?
King Triton.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and he in The Little Mermaid.
So
Yeah.
he
Yeah, it's
and
Triton.
Renee
Oh, wow.
both did voiceover in The Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they're
Fun fact.
related to Kevin Bacon, but I mean,
Of course.
one person there.
When I was a kid, I always used to
Can
claim
tie it to
that I
Kevin
was
Bacon.
Ariel. Like when we
Were-
would,
Were you lying
pretend
or
to be
telling the truth?
mermaids.
So
No, like when me and my sister would be in the pool, like, during mermaid stuff, and we'd be like, I'm Ariel, and I'd be like, nope, I got the red hair, I win every time. You gotta be one of the sisters.
Yeah.
Ariel can be
Yeah.
a day 2 cosplay at STL.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
gotta
You
do something
definitely
every
have
day.
the hair for Ariel.
I know, I'm gonna do like a Beverly Ariel cosplay mix.
There you
Yeah,
go.
mashup.
And Beverly
Good.
Crusher.
There you go.
Hmm.
That's it.
All right.
That works.
You
Sounds
just gotta
good.
wear those the shell bra underneath her, Crusher jacket thing or whatever she wears.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you
Yep,
got the
you're in
the
charge
doctor
of
jacket
logistics.
and the shells.
Yeah.
Okay, that works. That works.
Yeah.
Rex, your thoughts?
I have
Shell
none on
bra?
that.
But I have none at this time. Tell us about your background, though, Rex.
Oh, the background is just the Enterprise E bridge. I think, yeah, the Enterprise E. That's what it is. It kind of fit the uniform and everything like that. So I tried to
That's right. You're in uniform.
Yeah,
Right.
I tried to get into the Nemesis uniform and find something that was at least close. So
Do you have
Yeah,
pics
that's
on
perfect.
your uniform?
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, looks pretty cool. Turned out really good.
It does. Look at that.
Yep. I mean, it just makes me feel like I'm there. You know? There you go. So yeah,
I'm just
absolutely.
floating in space.
That's okay. No, somebody else is too. They agree.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we got to run, but we do appreciate you joining us for the free for all. We had a pretty good episode. We talked about a lot of hilarious things.
Remember, sponsor me for Star Trek Las Vegas. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm filling out the application.
Yeah, I'm working on it right now too. I'm applying.
Rush
Yep.
order.
I'll sign the petition.
Mhm.
I'm
There
gonna
we go.
have to start a
Auto
GoFundMe.
sign.
Get me to Star Trek Las Vegas or
There
something.
you go.
Yeah.
Great. So let's see. For Heatherwood. Sorry, why do I say that? I've
Really?
said that before.
When did that happen?
I must know.
Congratulations, guys.
There's a Heatherwood in New York City.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
We
Give
weren't
it
invited.
away.
Nobody invited us.
For Rex Jordan.
With Lambda Quadrant.
Yeah, really.
No, is that why? I feel like I saw that name.
Yeah.
Okay. Heather
Yeah.
Jordan. Cat
I'm
Our
taking
King,
Cat's
Rex
last
Wood.
name then. I'll be Cirroc our king if we're going to take last name.
There you go. There you go.
But I'm taking
I'll be
Blake.
probably
No,
Homer
wait,
Jordan.
Lofton.
No.
There we go.
For Homer Frizzell, for Dennis Koch, Immo Radtke, Eve England, and Yvette Blackmon for Cirroc, our king.
Man.
Brian T.
At
Husk.
Lofton.
There we go.
Thank you all, and always remember the 7th rule.